Welcome, yogi, to this evening yoga stretch designed to release tension from the legs, hips, and shoulders. This is a relatively slow pace of practice to wind down your day. And if you do have your yoga props nearby, you might need a couple of blocks. Something similar, books will do, a belt or a strap if you have one, and also a blanket for comfort in some of the kneeling poses. If you don't have any of those things, you will be able to still do the practice. And so we'll begin in child's pose. I'd like for you to choose the child's pose that sounds most inviting. You can keep your knees together, which will gently release tension from your low back. Or you can separate the knees and keep your big toes together, which will work a little bit more into the hips. Now stretch your hands out ahead of you and either rest your forehead down to the mat. Or if that isn't within reach, you could put a block under your head or stack your hands up. Rest your head on your hands. Take a few deep breaths here, yogi. And slowly, full breaths to the low back, into the sides of your body, and slowly out. Just arriving on your mat. Choosing while you're on here to stay present with your body and your breath, to let any thoughts that arise from the day just come up and go without you choosing to engage with them. Please rise up to tabletop or all fours. And this might be where you choose to place a blanket underneath your knees for comfort. You're going to step forwards into a low lunge with your right foot. I mentioned we might use a mixture of props this evening, so you might prefer to place your props underneath your hands to make your low lunge more comfortable. We're going to keep the back knee down and let yourself settle forwards and down to stretch into the front of the left leg. If you've been sitting today or driving, this is a lovely release for that. Keep your hands either on the floor or your blocks. If you want to climb them up to the knee, you can do. Enjoy some deep breaths here. And start to lift the torso up. So you can walk your hands up onto your knee. And we'll take the hands behind us into a clasp. Squeeze your shoulder blades towards one another. Open into the chest. If you can, keep your palms together, keep them close. And breathe. Focus more on the rolling open of the upper arms, the external rotation in your upper arms, than you do on getting your hands away from your bum. Smile in the collarbones, nice and open. And relax a bit. Bring both hands to your left hip, if you can. Now, if balance gets tricky here, you can bring a block under your left hand and just have your right hand wrapped across your low back. So make sure that you feel stable. Tilt your head to the left and stretch into the right side of your neck. Like I say, balance can be tricky with this, so don't be afraid to let go of the half bind or the bind. Just do the neck in a lunge. Back up with your head. Release your hands to straight back behind you. Deep breath in, squeeze open. And release your hands down, back via the blocks of the floor. And step your right foot back. Give it a little bit of a movement in and out. You can rotate the hip internally, externally. And place your right knee back on the floor. Let's go with the left leg. Step that one forwards. And we're setting up straight ahead of you in a lunge. So the hips start to move forwards and down. You may have your hands on the ground. You could elevate them on your blocks. Or you could have them on your knee. Your focus is on the right hip flexor in this. Deep breaths, yogi. And come up a little further, upright chest. Clasp your hands if you can behind you. And squeeze open. Roll your upper arms open. Then try and keep your palms quite close to. If you have room to move your hands away, you can, but don't let that be the initial priority. Keeping some engagement in your right glute helps you with your balance in this pose. And it also helps the right hip flexor muscles to stretch through the quad and the psoas. Lift your chin and chest. Another breath. And relax enough to bring both hands to your right hip. And like I said on the other side, if this is just a little too wobbly, grab a block and put it under your right hand or anything else, any other way you can stabilize. And tilt your head over to the right. One more breath. And start to lift your head. Bring your hands back behind you. Another little squeeze open. And you'll release. Back down, leaning forwards. Slide your left foot back. And just like you did with your right leg, stretch it out any way that feels interesting. A little internal, external rotation could be nice. And we'll release the knee to the floor, or to your blanket. Tuck your toes and lift into downward facing dog. So hips rise, chest presses back. Relax your neck and look at your feet. Let your left knee bend. Press your right heel towards the floor a bit. Keep your tailbone pressing up and back, lifting up and back. And bend your right knee and let your left heel come towards the floor. Both heels equally, lifted or lowered. And we'll walk to about the middle of your mat. Bend your knees to dangle. This is a really nice release for your low back if you gather tension there during the day. Either keep your hands on the ground, relax your neck and shoulders, or if you can, you could put your hands in your opposite elbow. Very gently sway. Just feel the weight of your head doing the work here as you relax your neck. The weight of the head gently creating space throughout your whole spine. Remember to not try and keep your legs straight here. Strong bend is part of that release. And release your hands. If you like an assisting goddess pose, you've got options. You can put your heels up onto your blanket, which is what I'm going to do. Or you can sit yourself on a block if you like, or a book. Lower your hips down. Now you could do goddess without a blanket or a block. If that's comfortable for you, you're very welcome to do that. Place your elbows inside of your knees. If you are on the floor with your heels but you're sort of fighting to be in the pose, I recommend grabbing something you could slide under the heels, because we're going to take a twist, which makes it a little bit more difficult again. And so you want to be as comfortable as you can be in the starting point. So whether you're sat up on your block, which is even nicer, or with your heels lifted, or with your heels on the ground. Another breath, goddess pose. And we're going to put the right hand onto the floor. Anchor your right upper arm inside of your right knee. Put your left hand onto your left knee and take it into a twist. You look out over your left forearm or your left elbow. And use the right arm as an anchor. Hold you in position. And switch it out. Take your left hand out and down. Put your right hand on the right knee and rotate. And release. Back to center. Just a moment here in the middle. And back up into your forward fold. So you'll lift your hips and bring your feet parallel and fold down. And both legs relatively straight this time. I invite you to use blocks if the ground isn't quite within reach. Definitely bring it up to you. Let's take one more goddess pose. One more malasana or yogi squat. Hips down. So again, use your props to your advantage. Sit on your block, elevate your heels or have your heels on the ground. And in this expression, we're going to round gently forwards. So don't force anything. We don't want to really put our back in around and then force anything. We want to keep the spine safe. But I want, if you can, for you to feel comfortable with the hands extended in front of you and the chin dropped towards your chest. And just kind of let go into it. And breathe into your back. Let the breath do the work. And to come out of this, you'll lean forwards and let your knees come down to the floor. If you had a blanket, move it out of the way and come down to the floor to stretch out, lying down on your front. We'll focus on the upper back for a few moments. So you can pop your hands under your shoulders. Just give everything a wiggle, get comfy. Hands under shoulders, elbows close in by your ribs for a start. We'll lift up by pressing lightly into your hands, coming forwards and up with your chest, and down with your shoulders into cobra pose. Soften your way back down to the floor, all the way down. Take a deep breath. And inhale, come up again. Elbows close to you. Hands feel like they're pulling back, even though they're glued in this position. Lengthen through your neck. Soften your way back down. Relax fully at the bottom. And take your hands off the side of your mat with your fingers on the mat and your palms up, so you've got space. You pull the fingers in towards the thumb and you create a little space. And then your elbows stack directly over, or not directly over the wrist, but up, if that helps. Roll up and find that cobra again, but perhaps now feels a little easier to lift. Drop your shoulders down. Lengthen the crown up. Corners of the mouth up a little bit. Don't force anything here. If cobra feels funky in your low back, keep it low. And all the way down. Keep your hands as they are as you take a breath, resting on the floor. Our final one of these, we'll do a little shoulder movement. So you roll up, find your wide-handed cobra, and drop your right shoulder in towards the middle, looking over your left upper arm. Inhale back up to center. And drop the left shoulder in towards the middle as you look over your right upper arm. We'll go again each side, come up to the middle. Right shoulder towards the middle. The center, breathe in. And the left shoulder drops in. Come back up, take a breath. And soften down. Rest your head on your hands. Let's shimmy back to a child's pose, to where we started at the very beginning. Just ease your way into that. If you can have your knees close, do so. But if it's too compressed in the abdomen, you can always widen them. And if you like an extra shoulder release here, you can put your hands by your feet with your palms facing upwards and really melt your shoulders over your knees. Start to come out yogi bit by bit. You might benefit from having a strap in this next pose. So if you do have one nearby, reach for it now. You're going to spin around. You're lying on your back with your strap close by. All the way down to the mat. And then if you'd like to grab your strap and loop it around your right foot. Extend your right foot straight up towards the ceiling, or as up as you can. If you're a little bit tighter in your hamstrings, it might be that it's moving away from you. The direction we're aiming in is foot towards the head end of your mat. If you have a room, it might be a little further up that way. Anywhere is fine, as long as you feel a stretch in the back of your right leg. Keeping your left knee bent is a little kinder, especially if you've got low back tension, or if your hamstrings are tighter, the left knee bent is really nice. If you want to stretch it out and straight and see how that feels, you can give that a try too. Let's take a few breaths here into the hamstring. If you feel your back of your knee stretching, bend your knee a tiny bit, just until you feel it more on your thigh. And then if you're holding the strap really close to you, it can be nice to actually extend your arms to straight, hold closer to your foot, and just let the weight of your shoulders gently stretch, so you don't have to pull or try. Please take both parts of your belt or your strap in your left hand. It could even be a towel wrapped around your foot. Take it in your left hand. If your left knee is bent, please straighten it too, so you might have to move your foot further away to help that. And guide your right foot about 10 degrees to the left. Keep your right hip quite heavy on the mat so that now you feel a stretch through the outside of the leg. Come back up to center. Bend your left knee. And using the strap, you can help guide your right foot onto your left knee into a figure 4 shape and unhook your strap. Now slide your right leg so that it's snuggled on top of the left leg. So you're more like an eagle in your legs. You've got the cross-legged seat as if you're in a chair, so cross-legged. And pick up both legs, hugging them in towards you. Hold on to your knees if you can. If it's possible, take it further down the shins. Or even if you can, you could hold your feet. And this is reclining cow face pose. For if you're familiar with cow face pose, it's just rotated onto the back. We'll gently draw the knees towards the chest and relax your low back and shoulders to really target the right glute. And if this doesn't feel good, I should have maybe said before, you can do figure 4 instead of this. If you're familiar with that, with the ankle on the knee, that's a slightly less intense, but still very good stretch. But it is slightly different muscle. So if this is possible, stay with it another breath. And release your knees, shins, or feet. And bring the feet towards one another again so they start to squeeze in if you can. If you can keep the shape while you twist, let both legs go over to the left. You might have to weigh down with your right arm off to the right. And if you're just making your way in and feel like it's a little too twisty, unravel your legs. A couple of breaths in this. And let's go out to center. However you can. Uncross your right leg at some point. Plant your right foot back on the floor. Reach for your strap and loop it around your left foot. Take your left foot up to the ceiling. And then again, you've got all of the same options available to you. Remember, keep your right knee bent if you're a little bit tighter in your hamstrings or your low back. If your foot is away from you, it's gently moving its way towards the head end of your mat. It just takes a little time, some regular stretching. And if you're comfortable stretching your right leg all the way out to rest on the floor, you can do so. Once you've found your depth, check in with your knee. Make sure that it's not pulling the knee, and if it is, bend your knee just a tiny bit. Then set the arms, you've got your arms straight, hold on to the strap, relax your shoulders. And you'll take your strap in your right hand. If your right knee is bent, straighten it out and guide your left foot to the right about 10 degrees or so. The left hip doesn't roll up and over, it's staying quite close to the ground until you feel this outer structure of the leg stretch. We'll take a few breaths here. And come back up. Rebend your right knee. Guide your left foot onto the ankle using your strap and move your strap off the side of your mat and out of your way. You don't need it now. And then if you can, slide that knee over the other knee. So left knee over the right, should I say, is more accurate. So you've got left knee snuggled over the right like you're sat cross-legged in a chair. Pick up both legs, draw them in towards you. You'll reach for either the knees, the shins, or the ankles. If you've got the feet and ankles, your feet are quite wide. The left thigh is melting towards the abdomen. And the target here is the left glute piriformis area, left hip. And a reminder, if figure 4 would be more appropriate for you today, that's good too. And release whatever you're holding. Squeeze your feet towards one another again, so your legs squeeze back together. And we'll guide both knees over to the right for a twist. So you might have to put your right toes down and just help yourself over that way. The left arm counterbalances you. And the left shoulder's trying to rest down on the mat. And unwind from where you're at. Uncross the legs. Find the middle of your mat once again. Bring your knees in towards you. Nice little movement across your low back here, rocking side to side. And if there's in fact anything else you need to do to feel like you've completed your practice today, this is a good time to do that. And if you're ready for a few moments of stillness, stretched out to Shavasana. So you can prop up your knees on a blanket or a blanket on top of blocks or on a bolster, or you can simply lie flat. We will rest to complete our practice. Shuffle around. Get yourself really comfy. Tuck into a blanket if you like. Scan your body from your toes up and release any holding that's found. You could relax your ankles, your knees, your thighs. Soften the belly. Adjust and melt the shoulders. Bring a softness to the face. If you'd like longer in Shavasana, please feel free to stay. Start to reawaken with movements and stretches. Walk your feet in closer to your bum. Switch side to side with your knees. Make your way onto your side for a moment. And press your way up to your seat. And your hands can rest in front of you as you take a moment to thank yourself for coming to your mat today. Please complete your practice with a full breath. Inhale and exhale. Thank you for your practice, yogi. Namaste.